Hello there, my fellow weary travelers. This is Andre Dion Moore, your Dark Nerd Rises, and I hope you're having a good day today. So far, with all the craziness that we're seeing, hit the like and subscribe buttons on my channel. Please hit the like button for this video, and also hit the subscription button to my channel, and just share away what you can see and hear. Um, one, the devastation in Tennessee, Georgia, and North Carolina is devastating. I mean, there's no words really to describe it right now. But there's one thing to describe when someone who is using these tragedies to use it for your own political benefit and then make lies against an administration that is and doing not just their best, doing what they need to do in relief efforts. And the other day, I'm sure many of you have seen former President Donald Trump um, was seen in Georgia making literally a campaign stop in the middle of relief efforts just to make these callous comments about what President Biden allegedly isn't doing, and what basically saying that there was never any communication with the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, which really that was false. And before I get to that little footage, let me read to you what I found on the article about certain things that he has done. Just one moment. Here's this article here. Let me go ahead and read this to you right quick. Trump's comment less was revealing less for its dishonesty than for what it highlighted about his approach to federal disaster relief, which he views through the prism of personal politics, the New York Times said. As president, Trump diverted funds from FEMA and threatened to withhold allocated money from governors of blue states whom he saw as enemies, while promising A-plus treatment for his allies. He waited for 3 years to approve disaster relief for Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. Think about that, folks. He would have withheld, desperate needed relief to people who were in blue states, but the ones who were dim, he would have helped out, easily. And that right there shows you creating that division, within our country, right there. And yet people want to sit there and be on Facebook and believe these little AI generated memes of him walking through flood waters with a FEMA worker or being on an electric pole. I'm gonna have to find those pictures and show that to you. They're hilarious. But what we saw here back during when Hurricane Maria hit, if you remember that, he waited 3 years to send any help for that. That's cold and callous. Definitely cold and callous. But further on concerning his opponent, presidential opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris said at a FEMA briefing Monday that she would visit hard-hit areas as soon as possible without disrupting any emergency response operations, which must be the highest priority. That right there is the response of someone who has more presidential tendencies, more presidential strength than you can ever imagine. And the lies that he had told and said about the Biden-Harris administration during this tragedy, and even more so the fact that him distracting the relief efforts, is just plain ridiculous. And I know one person who made a great point and pretty much just tore this down is Jessica Tarloff, my favorite from Fox News, who kept it real and kept it straight. And right now, here's Jessica with what she had to say about the whole situation.
Donald Trump's social media posts contain blatant lies, like Governor Kemp can't reach the president. Governor Kemp gave a press conference yesterday where he said, I just spoke to the president.
The governor's doing a very good job. He's having a hard time getting the president on the phone. I guess they're not being responsive. The federal government is not being responsive, but they're having a very hard time getting the president on the phone.
the president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, you know, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
He has promised me every single thing that I need. McMaster from South Carolina, also a conservative, getting everything that he wants, and then Roy Cooper as well. And there's only one president that we are talking about who actually has denied relief for one of these states. In 2017, Roy Cooper asked after Hurricane Matthew for a lot of money, and he got 1% of his ask. They denied 99% of what he was asking for after that hurricane came. There are 3,300 FEMA personnel there, 5,500 National Guardsmen from 11 states, and search and rescue from 19 states. That doesn't reduce the devastation of this and how horrific it is, but to say that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are out to lunch during this, or they're sitting on a beach reclining there, they are clearly giving them what they need. They will be showing up when it is appropriate. And it's different for Donald Trump, who is not in office. He's just a guy trying to be president again, to show up and throw some bounty at people, versus someone who's actually the commander in chief and doesn't want to distract from what's going on. And as Dana said, Governor Cooper said, I will let you know when it is appropriate for you to come. And same goes for Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, all of it.
Tennessee.
Yes, folks. That right there just shows you really the depravity that this former president will go to. How low, he will sink to the lower depths of depravity. And I'm just saying it, calling it like it is. You may not like it, fine. Me saying this, but the thing is that we definitely need a change after this. And here's a little thing that I've went back to find on my Facebook page, and I think I just find this hilarious. The so-called idiotic magic of AI at this point. I mean, just look at this. If that was the case, it's a Verizon tower or any tower, let alone the fact this weight would have pretty much out of just probably crashed the whole tower. Sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry. I'm just going to say it like it is. Let's contrast that to Vice President to the FEMA headquarters just yesterday, and you need to look at the response to this.
The devastation from Hurricane Helene is immense. Millions of Americans are without power. Thousands of families have lost their homes. Entire neighborhoods have been destroyed. Major roads have been blocked or damaged, leaving entire towns inaccessible at this very moment. We will do everything in our power to help communities respond and recover. And I've shared with them that I plan to be on the ground as soon as possible, but as soon as possible without disrupting any emergency response operations, because that must be the highest priority in the first order of business. Already, nearly 100 people have been confirmed dead, and hundreds more are missing. The destruction we have seen in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia is heartbreaking. In coordination with state and local officials, President Biden and I will continue to make sure that communities have the support and the resources that they need, not only to respond to this storm and its immediate aftermath, but also the resources they will need to recover. So far, more than 3,300 federal personnel are on the ground to assist with recovery efforts. They are deploying food, water, and generators. And we continue to work with teams on the ground to restore water and power as quickly as possible. To everyone who has been impacted by this storm, and to all of those of you who are rightly feeling overwhelmed by the destruction and the loss, our nation is with you. And President Biden and I, and all of the folks behind me, are with you.
She came in took charge. Something that's very presidential. Something that, even from my knowledge, I have never even seen maybe any other president. I might be wrong. I'm thinking Obama, even during Katrina. Hear me out, folks. Maybe Bush or whatever. But we know how much that ball was dropped. But to see her come in and do that, that shows a sign of strength through a period of tragedy. And that shows the compassion that she has, both her and President Biden. And before I go, folks, I'm going to just leave it with President Biden on his remarks after hearing what Trump said about him and the administration. And I can't blame him for being mad. Folks, hit and like and subscribe to my channel, Andre Dion Moore, The Dark Nerd Rises. Please share it and please subscribe. So I say this to you, agape.
Mr. President and Governor Cooper, Donald Trump has accused both of you of ignoring the disaster.
He is lying. Let me get this straight. He's lying. And the governor told him he was lying. The governor told me he was lying. I've spoken to the governor, spending time with him, and he told me he's lying. I don't know why he does this. And the reason I get so angry about it, I don't care about what he says about me, but I care what he communicates to the people that are in need. He implies that we're not doing everything possible. We are. And you spoke to the governor. I assume you heard the Republican governor of Georgia talk about that he was on the phone with me more than once. So that's simply not true, and it's irresponsible.